Hey guys, Mike the Cop. How do cops actually catch people speeding? Is it hard to do, or is it as easy as getting an STD from your Tinder date? Stick around, let's talk about it.
I got you. Yeah, I will defend my brothers. I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite. Bring it on. It's time to fight.
A lot of people ask, how do you catch speeders? Is it hard? Is it easy? And so I decided to make a video explaining the 3 key ways that we enforce speed or catch speeders. Now, in all honesty, I'm not a huge traffic guy. I'm not the one out there in the traffic unit. It's not my main thing, but speed is a dangerous thing. Excessive speed is dangerous unless you're, Ricky Bobby.
I want to go fast.
Or Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder. If you're not a NASCAR driver or whatever, you shouldn't be driving excessive speed on public roadways. It is a dangerous thing, and a lot of people obviously get upset when they get tickets, and that's understandable because it can be expensive and your insurance goes up and all that stuff. I get it, I understand. I've actually had tickets and had my insurance go up, so I feel you. That said, I'm typically not the guy out there just looking to make traffic stops, to write traffic citations. One of the things in law enforcement as a goal is not just to write a ticket or take someone to jail, it's to hopefully influence behavior in a way that makes them compliant with the law. In other words, I think warnings are a great tool. I think conversations are a great tool, and I try to use that to the best of my ability. Sometimes if I pull someone over in a neighborhood and they're going 39 and a 25 where kids are playing, I'll simply ask them if they've ever seen a child hit by a car that's going in excessive speed in a neighborhood. And usually that question alone, when they say, no, I haven't, and I say, well, I have, way too many times seen children, other people injured because of excessive speed in places where it's even only 25 miles an hour, you're going 39. So speeding is an issue. It's not the primary issue, but it does cause accidents and causes injury, causes death. So I'm not a huge traffic guy per se, but I do find value in traffic enforcement for those reasons. All right, so the first thing is radar. A lot of people think that police officers can only radar in one direction, that if they're driving behind you, they can't ascertain your speed from radar. Not true. So what we have in this car, there's all sorts of different radar units. There's not one standard unit that's going to come in every patrol car. So each of them will also have different functionality. Some of them, they wouldn't be able to, for example, get your speed if they're driving behind you. Some of them can. So it just depends on what that department has or what that vehicle has. So in this car that we're in today, we have a front-mounted radar detector and one in the back. This is the actual unit itself. It's in hold mode right now, so we can release that. And basically we're telling it that we are we're telling it we're stationary, and it's going to give us a reading of people going away from us or coming toward us. We can get both. There's a spot here that says patrol speed. Obviously, since we're not going anywhere, there is no patrol speed. If we were moving, we would change the mode to where we were moving, and it would give us our speed here. You can hear the noise. Essentially, when you're doing radar, you're visually estimating vehicles that you think are speeding or are not speeding, and you're confirming it with the radar. You're not just using this on its own. Obviously, you hear the noise as well. The noise will change that pitch depending on how fast the vehicles that you're targeting are going. So we hear the noise go up and go down. It's pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. You can drive behind someone with this unit and get their speed. You could be driving in one direction and a car coming the opposite direction, and you can get their speed. We can also get the speed of cars approaching us. So if we could be stationary and use the rear radar to get cars that are approaching us. That's really simple. That's the basics of a radar unit inside of It's really simple. That's the basics of a radar unit inside a patrol car. That noise is actually really annoying. Next up we have what is called a LiDAR. It's actually commonly called a laser because a laser shoots out of it, but it's actually a LiDAR. is the technical term. There's actually a manual for this. When you go to training, you have a book to read, and it's all about sines and cosines and angles. And the bottom line is, put the red dot on the car, and it's going to give you a number. It'll tell you a positive number if it's coming towards you, and it'll give you a negative number if the vehicle is going away from you. So yes, both directions you can get a laser. At the beginning of your shift, or at the beginning of using a laser, you would calibrate it and confirm that it's working. So they'll have a spot set up where it's a known distance, and you put the laser on that object, and it's going to kick back a distance to you as well. How far away is that vehicle for speed? It's typically most reliable up to about 1,000 feet. So anything beyond 1,000 feet is something that you would probably stay away from as far as speed enforcement goes. Again, you just put it right on the front of a vehicle or right on the back of a vehicle, and it's going to kick back the speed, the direction, whether it's coming towards you or away from you, and it's also going to give you the distance. Clearly, I'm in a canine unit today. I'm not working right now, so I'm not going to use this laser, but there's your basics. All right, so we covered the basics of a radar. We covered the basics of the laser. You can put some clip from Austin Powers laser in there. There is another way that people get really upset about, to be honest with you, and is in Michigan. It's called the violation of basic speed law. Again, I mentioned earlier with the radar. The radar isn't used to tell me how fast you're going. It's to confirm the estimated speed that I already believe that you're going. That's how radar works. And when I testify in court, if I was to write someone a citation with a radar device and they want to fight that or contest it in some way, that's what I'm testifying to. That I observed a vehicle that I believed was going in excess and estimate the speed, and the radar with an audible tone and the readout confirmed a speed of whatever it is. I can do that without a radar or a laser. I can sit on a street and I can estimate the speed of someone. You can testify in court that based on your experience. Once you get on this job and you're doing this for a while, you get really efficient at understanding basically how fast people are going. Are they going 5 over, 10 over, 20 over? You can see if they're driving recklessly or carelessly. So there's certain things that you can do, and I can pull someone over based on my observations and my estimations of what their speed is, and I would testify to that in court. And that is the surprise way that people don't think of. A lot of people think you have to have a radar, you have to have a laser, and you have to show that to me. That's also not true. They do not have to show you a printout or a readout of the laser or radar on the road. If you want to contest it, you can contest it in court. Police departments do have to maintain the equipment. They have to have a log of that, and that would be presented in court. Now, if a department has a policy where they do show you that, that's on them, but that is not required by law, at least not here in Michigan. If that does exist somewhere else, I'm not aware of it. There's some other cool things to catch speed, like helicopters and airplanes and stuff. I'm not qualified for that, so I'm not Batman. But there are some cool cops that get to do that, I guess. I don't know. I just thought about the fact that some of you are going to want to know what kind of training goes into the radar and laser devices. You do have to go to classes. I believe they were 40-hour classes where it explains the technology and sort of the science behind that. For example, you learn what kind of angles you can use for radar. I can't sit completely perpendicular to traffic and have a radar readout. It won't work that way. Same thing with a laser. I can't just put a laser across the road and have people pass through it and give me the speed. It has to be at a certain angle, and that's what I was talking about earlier with the LiDAR device, sines and cosines, and they kind of explain all the math to you. You don't have to be able to actually do the math, but they explain it to you in the course. And you have to have so many hours logged of continuing to use radar and laser in order to keep your certification. So it's an ongoing process to make sure that you stay fresh, basically, with the technology. All right, that's it. Don't speed, and you won't get a ticket. Okay. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button for my channel. If you want to find me off of YouTube, you can always add me on Snapchat, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, like my Facebook page, and if you really like me, you can also check out my store or my Patreon page. Serious right now, we're not even moving.
Right now, we're not even moving.